Mark mentioned a few times you all have gotten thin up front. Have you seen guys emerge though who are getting more reps?
Yeah, anytime you can just get younger guys in and get reps, and especially you talk about those two mid-year freshmen, and Gerard and Brian, like reps are invaluable. Good reps, bad reps, like you can teach alpha all of them. So to get all of those has been great. But yeah, I mean that's spring. Things happen. Certain positions can get thin. You may have not thought they were going to get thin, and they do. But all those reps have been great for those guys. For all those young guys.
For a mid-year lineman, is the biggest adjustment just the physicality, the guys that are going
the speed, the physicality, the technique. The people forget you have to be so technically sound up front. You take when a guy's only 6 inches away and he wants to maul you, and you take a bad step, it puts you in a bad spot. Like your hand placement, that is vital. Like everybody thinks about it from a DB and all that. Listen, it's what Coach Stu and he preaches every single day. That's why they get the most individual time every single day to make sure that that's honed in.
What about the physicality throughout the whole defense? I know it's something they always take pride in. Are you seeing that from this group, and how are they embracing that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, spring can get a little bit hard. I like it at the line of scrimmage. When you're not tackling to the ground. I mean, I think so much of a defense, is determined by their ability to tackle, and you can only see so much of that. But I do like our blocker take on block destruction. You've got to take care of each other teammate wise, right? So when you're getting off a block and you can't sling, a guy to the ground, you're trying to keep him up. There's some times that things can get a little bit soft at the line of scrimmage. You have to give, for the betterment of the practice. And so, we talk about the D-line, right? We really control the pass rush in terms of, hey, we got to pull off bull rushes, collapsing pockets. The O-line has to be smart in terms of the run game and not finishing blocks as if we're going to give ground a little bit. So it's just working together, and that's, Coach talks about all the time. It's like it's practicing as a pro. And so, but I like the approach. They're coming out with a ton of energy, at all levels right now. And so, but now we're sort of right in the middle of spring ball. So I think the next, 2 or 3 practices will really sort of cement, the quote dog days of it, right? Like you come out the first week or the first week and a half, the first week you're just excited to be out. Those are helmets. Then the next couple of days you're excited because you finally put the shoulder pads on. Now you're in we've been going at this a while. Positions are getting a little bit thin. Now I'm taking more reps. Man, I'm tired. My legs are tired. Oh man, I've got a final exam. I've got a paper. I've got a mentor. Who can physically and mentally push through? And that's what we're going to see over the next couple of practices.
You mentioned last season, and kind of piggyback off the dog days. You wanted to keep your guys uncomfortable because we all get into a rut sometimes.
Yep.
How do you keep young guys that keep them out of getting into that rut?
I don't think you have to worry with young guys because all of the install, the pace of play, what they have to deal with from a college environment, it's all new. Every day is a new day with them. So I don't think you have to worry nearly as much. For them, it's trying to keep them in a singular is probably too tight, but only give them a couple of things to think about. They're not in a place now and comfortable enough with the entire defense to give them too many things to think about. Think about you, think about offense, think about like, hey, I want you to get better on your first step today.
So do you worry about the older guys getting
the older guys you do, right? The older guys. But I think this has been a good group that like they do enough to challenge each other, and they expect a lot of each other. A guy that jumps out, a guy like Max Hairston, right? if he has a good rep, but the plant and drive isn't quite perfect, he's in a good position, he'd make the tackle, but he could have had a PBU in practice. You know, I think he's hard on himself because he knew, okay, how can I transition better? He's not in a position right now or a mindset right now to say, all right, that was a great play. If you're lazy or you're just trying to go through the motions, you're fine. You're like, coach, I had it, I tagged off the hip. But you can see in his eye, like he wants to make every play. That's what the older guys are at right now, and that's what I expected, and that's what every position coach is demanding of their old guys. I want you to make every play. I want you to expect that you're going to make every play.
What's the next step you want to see from Ty Bryant after the way you played last year?
Yeah, now it just becomes consistency. It's stacking years, right? It's, you know, he had a couple of good games. I thought, and he would probably readily admit, you know, sort of down the stretch, you know, when you play a full SEC season and you're a true freshman and you played as many snaps, it kind of probably the monkey jumped on his back and he slowed down a little bit the last couple of games. And now it's about getting to that point physically and mentally that you can handle the full length and the full load.
What do you think about the secondary overall? And I know Max is pretty steady. You know what you're getting with Jerry, but what about the rest of it?
Yeah, we've had some ups and some downs, you know, which you'd expect. I think the offense is doing a great job, you know, in terms of stressing, you know, the coverages that we're playing on certain days. And, you know, it's putting a lot on those guys, which is good. Like, they need to feel that stress. You don't want them to go through spring ball and think everything's easy and everything just matches up clean. You're going to have to win one-on-one matchups. You're going to have to win deep balls down the field. Yeah, so I think it's really kind of by the day. We've been a little bit up and down at times. But I think every position group, not just the secondary, that's part of spring ball, and then you challenge them, and I think they've rebounded for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it's hard on some of the plays. You know, they're going to be bang bang, and now when it's live ball, can he make that play? You know, you pull off because you're trying to protect a receiver, so bodies don't get tangled. You know, it's like finishing at the top of the rush for a pass rusher. Yeah, it looks good. We can all say, hey, when you pulled off the quarterback, oh yeah, that would have been a sack. All right. I mean, we go through fall camp and you pull off a quarterback and it looks like we had 40 sacks, right? You get into the game and all you got is whatever the number is. So the ability to finish when the moment calls for it, and so much of that just happens on game day.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, what have you seen so far from Christian Story? Like, have you liked anything that you've seen so far from him?
No, I haven't liked anything. No, no, it's been a pretty easy transition for him. You know, in terms of he's got so many bank reps now. He was early on, right? It's like anything else. It's translation. Like, okay, this, what I'm used to calling is now this. And so we've sort of worked through that translation piece, and every day, you know, just playing faster and faster, getting more comfortable, communicating, knowing who I communicate with on certain calls. But yeah, I think every practice he's looked more comfortable and more natural back there. Again, you know, having veterans playing next to helps, you know, and it brings those guys along faster.
JQ Hardaway, how's he progressing second year in the system? What do you want to see from him moving forward?
Yeah, you know, all these guys, I just want to see them just continue to get better, you know, and you know, instead of trying to single anybody out, like, it's just all about just getting better, you know, for these guys.
From your perspective, can you talk about what quarterback Brock, you know, poses as a threat to defenses?
Yeah, I always, you know me, I'm not a big fan of talking about our offense because I don't ever like to. I don't know what I'm supposed to say or not say. You know, I don't want to give away, you know, corporate secrets. What I will say is that he's an unbelievable young man that's really, really talented, and he poses a lot of threats, you know, both with his arm and his legs, like, which stresses a defense big time. because as soon as you think you finally got all those routes covered and all those great receivers covered up, and all right, we've got the deep ball taken care of, and boom, he slides out of the pocket and he can run for a big game. And you're like, goodness gracious, now you got to account for that. So having that aspect, it's a huge threat, and he cares so much. Like, there's a reason that this team's going to follow him.
I guess without giving too much away, how helpful has it been with the tempo, being able to face that every day? Now that they're going a little quicker, do you think that's something that could help you guys when you guys face other tempo offenses?
There's no question. I mean, I think it's great for all sides, and pace of play. It's what college football is, right? And you got to be able to adjust to it and work through the mechanisms. And guys, you talked about, hey, last year making them uncomfortable, right? That naturally creates some uncomfortability, right? Where you don't just get to catch your breath all the time because there's a huddle on the other side. Now it's, hey, listen, you got to get your eyes, you got to get used to snapping your eyes to the sideline. You talk about young guys. Hey, what do young guys have to do better? They're used to just, hey, all right, I'm just going to walk to the huddle. Oh, wait, you mean I got to look and actually get the signal, and I got to know what the whole signal means, and then I got to get my eyes back, and I got to know what the offense is doing? Yeah, you do. And it's going to be even faster on game day. So, no, that's a huge help.
Without giving away those secrets that you mentioned, is there a particular kind of challenge from what Bush likes to do that's maybe a little different than what you've seen since you've been here?
Yeah, that would be corporate secret.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Just us here.
Didn't like
Yeah,
talking
just-
about the offense. So we
No,
asked more
they-
questions about the offense.
Yeah. I think it's all of it, right? It's pace of play, it's scheme, it's style, it's playmakers. I mean, you talk about the skill, in terms of Barryon and Dane, the tight ends. I know there's been a lot of talk about Hardley, and Hardley's been, really an unbelievable addition. I mean, like, the physicality, at the offensive line, like all of it together stresses you. And then the route concept, like the run game and the routes, they're just a ton of stress all the time. And even when you make a play, it's a move the ball period, and you create a negative play, a TFL, a sack, whatever the case may be, I know as a play caller, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, great, pin your ears back. Well, shoot, you pin your ears back, and whether it's the screen game, whether it's they're able to max it up and go deep, well, like there's a lot that you have to account for. Oh, and by the way, now you got to account for a quarterback that can run, and you put it all together. There's a lot of pieces that you're trying to think about, and you're not going to be in a perfect play call, and you just got to hope that the guys can. If you call a bad one, they dig you out of a bad play call. And even if you execute great, there's enough playmakers on that offense, and then you throw in the pace, and it's a challenge.
Okay, folks, thank you very much.